and welcome to The Nadia Effect. I am Nadia Johnson, the indie published author of Remembering June and Remembering June Seasons Change, which is the two-book series that will eventually become a four-book series. And I'm also the author of Unmasked, which is the first book in what will become a three-book series. My current project is Unbridled, and that's what I'm writing now. And I've only had this channel for a few months, but I wanted to do something different today with Mother's Day upon us, and have a conversation with my mom, who is sitting next to me right now. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself and give you, any information that she wants to share. So, Mom, this is you take the stage.
My name is Mabel Younger. I am the mother of four daughters, which include a set of twins.
So, another thing I would like to share about her is her career with the post office. She worked for 27 and a half years at the post office, and she retired. So, she is currently retired. And she raised us in a house that she purchased on her own. Like, I think the other important thing for me in this video is show to highlight her and to show how much, we should appreciate our moms. So even though her introduction was short, I wanted to add those few things in there as well. So let's get into the conversation. So let's talk about books. So I don't really have a lot of early memories about how I really got into books. I just know that my mom used to always take me to the library. I do remember that, but I don't really remember how I really got into books. And I remember some of my favorite authors growing up were like Roald Dahl and Beverly Cleary. I loved Nancy Drew. I loved the Hardy Boys. I loved all of those kind of books. But as I've gotten older, like I remember my first author that I really fell in love with, and the reason that I write today was Elin Harris, and his story was just inspiring because he sold his books out of the trunk of his car to begin with before he even got a traditionally published contract, and he became this huge success. And then, unfortunately, he passed away at, I believe, the age of 54, which is still kind of young. So he probably still had a lot of, like, life to live, and books to write, but his life was kind of cut short. So, um, that's kind of like my history with books. Mom, do you remember, like, any early things about how even became interested in books?
No, I don't. I don't. I just know that we did used to go to the library, and the library has books.
So then the other question for you is like, for me, I remember watching you growing up, watching you read books. So why are books so important? Why were books so important to you?
Reading was relaxing,
Okay.
and I like murder detective kind of books.
Okay.
I like Dean Koontz, uh, David Baldacci. I got turned on to. I was visiting my daughter in South Carolina, and we went to the library, and I checked out some books, and read the cover, the back cover of a David Baldacci books, and I started reading him, and I love reading his books. Uh,
So do you know why you are particularly attracted to like the murder, thriller, mystery genre of books?
I know it's just the going through the book and trying to figure out who the murderer is, and stuff like that. That's the fun part for me.
How good are you at actually figuring out who the murderer is? Can you usually figure it out pretty
Usually I
easily?
can.
Okay.
Usually I can.
Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes I think I know who the murderer is. Because me and my mom, we love watching like the English mysteries, and I can sometimes figure out who the murderer is, and but most of the time I can't. And she's pretty good at figuring it out. So um, that's I guess that's something that we do together, which is kind of fun. So so, what are
So
some of the other like genres that you or books that you've enjoyed reading outside of murder mystery books?
I've read a very unfortunate series of events. I love those
And
books.
why did you like those books?
Uh, uh, I don't know. I just liked them. Yeah,
And
I
then,
just liked them.
okay, and then what else?
And then I got into the Harry Potter books when they were out, and I got into those. My youngest grandson was reading those books, and I started reading those. And I think that even the very unfortunate series of events, I think I started reading those because I think he was reading those.
Okay.
And I also tried the ones where you picked the ending.
Those ones, I used to love those as a kid, and I
Mm-hmm.
actually have one on my bookshelf. It's
Okay.
called like Spooky Thanksgiving or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really old and the cover's all torn up and everything, but I kept it because I love those books.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because they have adult ones
Mm.
too.
Mm. I
And I
didn't know
think
that.
one of them that I saw was like you're a guest at a wedding or something, and you get to pick like your choose your
Ending.
adventure. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. So I don't know. I've never checked those out, but yeah. So
Yeah. So
so another question that I have for you is, let's see, what was your favorite thing to read growing up, and why?
shoot, I can't even remember.
Oh Lord.
I can't remember. I just, um,
Did you
what
read?
I do is I look at the back cover
Mm-hmm.
of the books, and if something about that piques my interest, I'll read the book.
And see, I'm different because I don't read the matter on the book
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want it to give me any spoilers. I've
Hmm.
always been that way,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
so
But that's what attracts me to books.
that's what attracts you to
Yeah,
books.
I'll look at a title, and it'll be something in the title saying, "Let me see what this is about," and I'll read the back cover to see what it's about, and go from there.
So like. I know that something that's really huge in like traditional publishing and indie publishing is like they talk about the cover, how important the cover of a book is. How important is a cover to you? Like when you're picking out a book.
It is titles.
Titles, okay?
Titles get catch my attention.
What about the cover art?
Sometimes,
Okay.
but most times that's not it. It's the It's the title.
Okay.
Something in the title that piques my interest.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I've already mentioned that, Elin Harris was a big inspiration for me writing today. His writing style was more, I like that it was all written in like first person. And then what came later was Terry McMillan. And I liked her style and her voice in her writing. She how when you were reading her books it actually sounded like you were in conversation with the person that was telling the story, and I was inspired by that. And so I think when I write now, I also look at the voice of the character and try to write in the voice of the character. And sometimes it doesn't always work. In fact, the book I'm writing now, I'm realizing that it sounds more like me writing as the character rather than me actually writing in the voice of the character. So that's something that I have to have to work on. But something that another question that I want to pose to my mom is, would you ever consider writing a book, and then why or why not?
I've thought about at different times. That thought crosses my mind.
It does? Like, okay, now, first of all, that surprises me. Go ahead.
It does. About just different things. Some of it is about my life experiences,
Okay.
um, be it my experience or my experience raising children, grandchildren, great grandchildren, and it's just a passing thought.
So, what would push you over the like cliff to actually write a book
I
about those experiences and about,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it would take.
So, oh, okay. And so, my next, so I guess you answered this already because you said that you would write about your life and about your experiences. But the question I was going to ask is if you did write a book, what genre would you write in? And it sounds more like you would write like an autobiography or biography about your experiences.
Yeah, and that's funny because those seem to be sometimes the hardest books for me to read.
I agree with you on that because
Yeah.
I generally do not like to read nonfiction books. But I just recently, me and Aisha just we're wrapping up Becoming Michelle Obama's first book, and when she first posed that book, I was kind of like, ugh, I don't know if I really want to read this because I love Michelle Obama, but to sit there and read about someone's life and their experiences is really not my thing. I love fiction. And so I was kind of like, I don't know. But I have to say that I'm almost done. I think I have one more page left in the actual book. And I am so glad that we read it because it was such a good book.
It was. I read that book also.
And so, what are your thoughts about that book?
I love that book.
Yeah.
I did. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did you love most about the book that you
Uh,
can remember?
what did I love
Because
most
you
about
read it a while ago.
I did. I did. Just it was well written,
Yes, it was.
and just her experience, with Barack and their life and everything. Yeah, I just it was just a good book. It just really was, and it was her life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was
Yeah.
her life, and we all have experiences in life, and things that happen to us and things that we go through and stuff, and so it's nice to hear somebody else talk about those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you going to read her second book anytime soon, do you think?
I think I will because I enjoyed the first book, so I think I will. Yeah.
So, what are some other? I know you read Stacey Abrams' book. How did you feel?
I haven't finished Stacey Abrams' book.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying about some what I've read so far. I've enjoyed, but it's just hard for me to get into those kind of books. Sometimes it
Yeah.
takes me longer to read those than it does some of the other genres.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm going to wrap up this portion of our chat because I don't think there's anything else that I want to ask you about books. Is there anything that you want to ask me about books, or do you have anything you want to ask?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. So I think we're going to end this section here, and we are going to kind of dig a little bit deeper into like my mom's experiences and her just her life in general. We won't go too deep, but we're gonna go just maybe, I shouldn't say deep, maybe we'll just go to the surface level for now. So, and maybe at a later date we'll go a little deeper. So in this section of the chat with my mom, I am going to ask her some questions and about being a mom, and I think she has some really valuable information because she's lived a life and she's still living a life, and so I want to share that with everyone. So the first question that I have for you is: did you always want to be a mom? Was it something you aspired to be in your life, or
Not really.
not really? Okay,
Not
and
really.
why? Or
Uh,
why not?
it wasn't just something that I thought about being a mom. Society will have you think that that's what girls think about and stuff. You know, of course, growing up and stuff, we played mom and that, but that wasn't an aspiration of mine.
It's not an aspiration of mine either.
Yeah.
I didn't really have that desire. And, also with being trans, it comes with a whole nother list of things that I would have had to go through in order to become a parent. And I just, honestly, at probably like the age of 28, I was like, no, I don't think motherhood
For me.
is for me. And so I just had no desire to have any children. And it's not that that children aren't great. I think children have um they're great assets to our society because they look at the world way differently than like adults do. And I love that about children. But I just didn't require that in my life. So do you what was the greatest, since you didn't want to be a mom, what was the greatest gift of being a mom? We'll start with that first.
Being a mom,
Okay.
and going through the experience of carrying children and seeing and bringing them into the world and seeing them grow and become.
Becoming what, and some of us are still becoming.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that was a point that was stressed in Michelle's book too, is that until we take our final breath, I think we are becoming.
We should be.
We should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
should
be.
Always growing and developing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I'll go on to ask you, do you feel like there was any, and I hate to say the word curse of being a mom, but that's the only word I can think of. Maybe you can think of a better way to phrase that for me, because I said curse, but I don't really know if that's a good way to put it.
Was there any downfall?
Yeah.
Downfall.
Okay.
To being a mom.
So let's ask that question. Was there any downfall for you, or anything that you regret about becoming a mom?
No.
Okay.
No, there wasn't. Because as it turned out, I was widowed at 25 with 3 small children.
Yeah.
And at first, my first instinct was to wrap them up and just be their everything and them be my everything. And then I had a talk with myself and said, no, you can't do that, because your job is to prepare them to make it in this world, because there's no guarantee that you're going to live to see them get to an age to where they're able to. So you don't know how much time you have in which to teach them and train them and prepare them for this world. So you can't do that.
So how have those same principles applied to being a grandmother and a great grandmother for you?
Kind of the same thing. I've gotten to teach just by and try to be an example, first of all, of the things that I'm teaching. I try to live what I'm teaching, because of what I realize is that kids, we think that they don't listen, and we think that they don't pay attention to what we're doing. But I think that both them seeing you live out what you're saying and you consistent in what you say, I think both of those things are important when you're parenting.
And I think consistency is, that's huge.
Yeah.
Especially with kids, because I think they seek that. So
because I think the hearing and really realizing that they've heard you say different things comes later on.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of what they see you do that they pay attention to at first.
Okay.
Because kids, and if you watch little kids, they mimic what they see.
Yeah.
And so, so that's why it's important that what you're saying mimics what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the greatest gift that you've learned in your life so far?
I've learned that you have to be flexible. And what I've learned about myself is that I really don't like structure as such.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way.
I like spontaneity.
Yeah.
And so the more spontaneity I have in my life, the happier I am.
Yeah.
I don't like every moment to be planned and filled with something.
Yeah.
I like to be able to just, if something comes up, I like to be able to do that.
You like to flow. She likes to flow like the water.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just real easy.
yeah.
And so, what is the greatest lesson that you've learned in love?
uh, Love is hard,
Yes, it is.
and I realized some time ago that I wasn't very good at choosing partners, uh, but I still believe in love, and I think that out of the principles that that God tells us, the two hardest to me are faith and love,
Mm.
because love, is supposed to be unconditional, and sometimes it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
It takes a concentrated effort in order to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think that's good. So, what is the greatest lesson you learned from your mom?
my mom was fun. Uh, it was funny because in her generation and stuff, a lot of subjects were taboo.
Yeah.
And so I think it was five of us girls and two boys. And I think as we grow, the girls were the oldest. It was four girls before there was a boy. And so I think that we kind of uh, said things to her and shared things with her that she had no idea what we were talking about.
I just like to say that I think my mom's a lot like that too. So,
But I was, because there were the three older girls. They would come to me and talk, because I've always believed in having open dialogue,
yeah.
and so they would come to me and be talking about something, and I would say like I knew what they were talking about, and then I'd have to pull one of them aside and get some clarity.
Okay. Yeah, clarity
So
is good.
yeah, and so yeah, so
So that's that.
yeah.
What is the greatest? What is the hardest? It's the hardest, not the greatest. What is the hardest part of getting older?
I'm having mobility issues,
Okay.
and so that's kind of hard for me. But some of it is because of me. Um, Prior to the pandemic, I was going to the gym and 5 days a week, and and working out and everything. After the pandemic, I have not started that again, and so
And why do you think it's been hard for you to start again?
starting anything new is hard, or anything is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
It is. It's hard sometimes. So
So do you
um,
think you'll go back to it anytime soon, or do you think you're just gonna kind of?
I'm gonna have to go back to it, because I don't like being not able to move and to do things and stuff. Last year we went to California for a mini family reunion, and I had to take a wheelchair because I can't walk or stand very long, and I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to do that, because and to be able to go and to be able to do is important.
So that just goes back to us becoming, always trying to do better for ourselves,
Yeah,
and so I believe that you'll do that.
yeah.
So the next question I have for you is, do you have any regrets? No.
No,
No regrets?
no, no,
So you've lived your entire life and there's nothing that you would do over?
mm,
No.
no, no. because we each have a journey, and our journey is based on choices and things that we make and stuff. And you know, I've had a good life. I've been blessed,
Yeah.
and I've enjoyed being a mom. I've enjoyed being a grandma. I've enjoyed being a great grandma. I haven't, the great grandma part has been different from being a grandma. I had a close relationship with my grandkids, but my great grandkids are a whole nother breed of kids.
Just a whole new generation.
I know nothing and they know everything. So that's quite different.
Yes, it is, and it has been definitely been challenging. So I'm gonna go back to my previous question about the hardest part of getting older. And I know something that I've personally witnessed with you that has probably been really hard is how, as you get older, you start losing friends and family. And I know that that has been really difficult for you. So, do you feel comfortable talking about that aspect of getting older?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you have to
Yeah.
say?
So, yeah, it'll be 2 years in July that I lost my one of my sisters that had lived here in Denver. We had raised our kids together and did a lot of things together, uh, and it was kind of sudden, and so that was hard. But I'm at an age now where I have been losing a lot of friends.
Yeah.
Um, I lost in January. I lost a friend that uh, we probably have been friends for like 50 years. We worked at the post office together. He knew my kids from little kids, and I knew his kids, his wife. I was his other wife.
His work wife.
His work wife, yeah. And so just losing people,
Yeah.
losing people. Just the other day, another friend that I had been in the Optimist Club with, and we had done the Children's Optimist Club together. Uh, she passed, and so and then my best friend from since junior high school, I lost her about 4 or 5 years ago. That was hard because even though she had moved after we graduated high school, she moved to the East Coast, and we had kept in contact all that time. And I would go visit her, and when she came here, because she had family here, um, I would visit. We would get to visit, and I knew her mom, her dad, her brothers, and so yeah. So that is a hard part of getting older,
Yeah.
and of getting older.
And I know that I've personally witnessed that, so I really wanted you, I was hoping that you would feel comfortable talking about that because I know that's been hard for you, especially over this past probably like 5 years because you've lost a lot of people
Yes,
over the
yes,
last 5 years.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
there was another question that I had that I can't think of right now. So we're going to move on from here. What is the biggest difference between your generation and the generations coming up now, growing up now?
Well, my generation, like when I was in the workforce, we were a family, and we worked at the post office and stuff. We were like family, and we worked together, as a team, and people worked. Um, the
Are you saying we
generation,
don't like to work now?
no, but you like to get paid. Uh, if you said something, you were true to your word.
Hmm.
People will say things and it's not true, or they have no intention of keeping their word. Um, the great grandkids, now that's a whole nother thing. There's no respect there.
Yes.
uh, and I think that goes back to parents, because I don't think that parents are parenting. I think the kids are running the households,
Mm.
and so the parents want to be their friends. And I really think that they're not preparing them for the world, because the world don't care anything about you, and where you learn how to cope with problems, because there will be problems in life. Nobody goes through life unscathed. And so to me, the job of a parent is to teach you how to problem solve and how to navigate life. And I don't think that the parents nowadays are doing that. The kids, they start out at a young age being disrespectful
Hmm.
and talking any
Yeah.
kind of way that they want to the parent and stuff. And the parents, they kind of laugh it off. But I always say those chickens are gonna come home to roost,
Oh, and
because
they will.
there comes a time when they're not at home with you and they have to go to school and so forth like that. And I think that causes a lot of problems for teachers in school. That's why we got so many unruly kids, because they're allowed to do that at home, and they're not there's not expectations of them as far as behavior or anything else. And you have to have boundaries. There's boundaries. There's nothing that you can do. You can't go out in the world and just do what you want to do because you want to do it. That we got laws. We got things that say you can't do this and you can't do that. And so they have to learn that at the home. And if they're not learning it at home, they get out there in the world and stuff. And if every answer is not going to be yes, yes, there's going to be some no's in there, and there should be,
Yeah.
because you can't just do what you want to do. So that is something else. And the thing is that we as people, we like to think we're so different from everybody else, but we have more in common than we do differences.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. And so, what, so this is a question that I don't have on my list, but what has it been like for you raising a transgender child? What has that been like for you?
Uh, my concern when you told me when you told me and your dad that you were changing your name,
Mm-hmm.
was your safety.
Yeah.
You have expressed to me from time to time that you thought I was embarrassed of you. No, I wasn't. When we went out and people singled you out and talked about you and ridiculed you, that hurt me because I knew it was hurtful to you. But other than that, that's to me, when God says love, He didn't put any restriction on it, and I figure He gave you to me for a reason, and my job was to love you and to parent you, and that's what I tried to do, and accept you. I believe that people should be accepted for who they are, and He said, I believe that when He said that, we're wonderfully made, He didn't say some of you are. I think
Yeah.
it applies to all of us. And I think that we need to understand that, and let people be free to be who they are and just love them. If it's something that you um, don't think you can deal with and stuff, just don't deal with that person. But you don't have to be mean to them and mistreat them. I don't think that you have a right to mistreat anybody, because everybody is somebody to God. And so that's how I look at that. So I, you know, um, but it's been challenging to raise you, because when you changed your name, it wasn't out of disrespect that I sometimes called you uh, the wrong name. It was just I had been used to calling you that name, and so it took some practice to call you by your name.
And I see that now, but at the time it just it was triggering for me.
Yeah.
So,
So it was
yeah.
no disrespect. It was no um, nothing against you. It took some getting used to. So
And I had that come up for me the other day, and I said to you that must have been what it was like for people to have to remember my name change.
mm-hmm.
And you laughed, but I can't remember what it was. I wish I could remember, but I don't remember. But um I know that for me, being raised by someone who has done a really good job of accepting me as I am, and trying to walk through this journey with me, that it has been more of an asset for me than it has been a hindrance, because I've been able to really figure out who I am as a woman and as a person, and just not and I never felt like, I think there were times in the beginning where I, like I said, I did feel like you were embarrassed of me, and then later on as we've developed our relationship.
And as you've gotten older and
Yeah.
stuff, to realize and stuff, uh, sometimes you just misinterpret things,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and it's not what you think it is. It's, it's something else. So, yeah, but no, I was never embarrassed of you and stuff, because you've always had feminine gestures and feminine thing. I think, you know, so it was what it was. And all I want for my children is for them to be happy
Yeah.
and with themselves, and with, and do make choices and decisions for that's good for them, because I lived my life, I made my mistakes, and you should have the right to do the same without judgment.
I agree.
So
So that's that. So, with today's like political climate, how you've gone through like some of the changes throughout history, and do you think that we are better off now politically, or do you think that we are the same?
we are worse,
Okay.
because the Trump presidency, to me, uh, exposed a lot of loopholes
Mm-hmm.
that he took advantage of. Um, and it made us, it was divisive to us as a country. Some of the things that he did, some of the things that he said, and we're still suffering from that divisiveness. And also, legally, a lot of there it to me it exposed a lot of legal loopholes that we have in our systems. But I've been saying for a long time that our systems are broken, and have been broken for a while, and nobody really seems to be doing anything about it or trying to fix it.
Yeah. I I think that that's kind of a sad state of affairs to hear you say that about us now being worse off, because you lived through like the Jim Crow stuff, and not the Jim Crow, the
Civil
the
rights.
civil rights stuff,
Yes.
and so to hear you say that, and then to hear that we're worse off, really is, it's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really sad. So I don't know why. This has been a hefty video. So I'm going to go ahead and ask my conclusion questions for my mom and see if it sparks her to ask me any questions. So, my first question for you in conclusion is, what advice would you give your younger self?
Uh, Always try to make the best decisions that you can with what you know. And when you see that you need to make adjustments, be flexible enough to make adjustments and change. And don't be so set. Don't be so set in whatever that you can't change if you need to.
Okay. So, my next conclusion question is, what advice would you give this generation coming up now?
I think that what I would like to see is them be more concerned about what's going on in their world, because they're the ones that are going to have to live through it.
Yeah.
And so they need to take an interest in what's going on, and be active, be an active participant in what's going on. Sometimes we think that it takes a lot of people and a lot to make changes, but one person can make a difference. And um, we're all connected. And so, where something might not affect you directly right now, eventually it will in some way, form, or fashion, or affect someone that you know. So, you need to be aware of what's going on in your world and be an active participant.
Okay, good answer. So, next question in conclusion is what would you rather have? Youth and beauty or wisdom and age? Why?
Okay. Uh, Not youth and beauty, because beauty fades. Beauty is just something to get you in trouble if that's what you concentrate on. Okay, I used to tell one of my nieces that.
My
Uh,
cousin.
yeah. Um, so wisdom and age,
And why?
because with wisdom you make better decisions. You're more thoughtful about decisions that you make and about things that you do. You give more thought to it, and that comes when the wisdom comes with age. So, um, yeah, I'd rather have wisdom and age.
I always say that if I could have the wisdom of me now in my 20s, I would have been a bad mamma jamma. Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to tell me anything. So I think for me, I agree that, aging is a privilege
It
that a
is.
lot of us don't realize it's a privilege because we're so busy trying to stay young. And that's evidenced in like, social media like TikTok where everyone's doing all this trendy stuff. And I'm just like, I don't have time for trends. I just have time for what I enjoy and what I like right now. And the trends are going to fade
Mm-hmm,
and they're
mm-hmm.
not going to really be something that lasts. And so, which we see on TikTok all the time. So, yeah, so I agree with you that wisdom and age is probably something that I would be more focused on.
Yeah.
So, my next question in conclusion would be what kind of mark do you hope to leave on the world?
Oh, what kind of mark do I hope to leave on the world? I hope that I have helped somebody to be a better person, to be their best self
Okay.
by either something that I've said or something that I've done or their interaction with me. Just want to. I went to a funeral a couple of weeks ago and I thought, may the life I live speak for me. So, like I said, you know, people watch what you do more than what you say. And so I hope that I've shown love to people, that I've been an encouragement to people rather than discouraging and things like that. Things like that are, you know, and so I hope that I've done that and that I've been a friend um, and a good mother,
Mm-hmm. You've been a good mother.
and that's it.
Okay. So, my final question in conclusion, which I'm sure you're thinking, thank God, is what do you value most right now?
What do I value most? Uh, each day that God wakes me up,
Okay.
I'm thankful for that because, like I said, I'm at the time in my life where I'm losing a lot of friends and family, and it's hard. But I do understand that I wasn't put on this earth to be here forever, and that death is a part of life. I do understand that, and so I'm not afraid of death. But I just want to. I In a couple of weeks will get to experience my first great grandchild graduating from high school, and I'm looking forward to that. So I have seen kids, grandkids, and now great grandkids graduate from high school. I was also fortunate enough to see my youngest grandson go to his college graduation. So I've been blessed. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, do you have anything else that you want to add before we close everything out?
Only that, life is hard, and my life has not been all smooth sailing. I've not always made the best decisions that I could make, but I've done the best that I could in all that has been presented to me, and that's all that I can do.
So, I'm hoping that my point in doing this video was that I know that there are people out here during Mother's Day that are either missing their moms because their moms have passed away, or they have a mom who maybe doesn't accept their lifestyle and or who they are as a person. And I just want you to know that you're not alone, that you have a community, you hopefully you have found people that have been able to give you that love. And I also hope for you on this Mother's Day that eventually that relationship can be healed, because I know for me personally, my life would not be what it is without my mom. And so I wanted to make this video also because I've heard my mom say often that she feels like older people and children get neglected in our country and that they're treated like cast offs. And um, my mom is not a cast off to me. She is one of my best friends, and I just really wanted to do this because, I am all about creating memories, and I want her to be a part of, what I'm trying to do here on my channel. So I thought this was a good way to commemorate that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out unless she has anything else she wants to add. Anything?
Nope.
And so I'm going to go ahead and close out this bonus video, and I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.
Bye
And happy
bye.
Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day, mothers.
Bye.
Bye.